What's going on, guys? Zing here, coming at you with another Affinity tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to simply make a YouTube thumbnail pop like a Mr. Beast thumbnail or some of these other thumbnails I'm showing you right now on the screen. So let's get right into the video. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to click the green plus button to create a new document, and I'm going to search up 1280 and click on the 1280 by 720 document and make it a transparent background and create the document. The 1280 by 720 is the YouTube thumbnail size. And now hopefully you know what type of video you want to make and you have all your assets. So for me, it is going to be a Mr. Beast-esque video. So I'm going to go ahead and drag in my subject first. And I'm just going to scale him down to fit the canvas. And once I have them scaled down how I like, I'm going to go ahead and remove the background. You can do this several different ways. I should have a video up on my page soon on how to cut out subjects in Affinity, so be on the lookout for that. Now that I have my subject cut out, I'm going to move him either to the left or the right, is personally how I like to do it. So I'm going to move him to the right side. I'm just going to scale him up, but it doesn't matter exactly where you put them. Depending on what your YouTube thumbnail is, you could put them in the middle, but I'm going to shift him all the way over to the right, and that way it allows some subtext to be put on your thumbnail if you like to put subtext. And then now I'm going to start dragging in my background elements. So this is going to be like a survive on an island type thumbnail. So I'm going to go and drag in my island background that I have right here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to scale it down to something that looks good. And then after I've scaled it down, I'm going to move it behind our subject. So something like that is looking good to me. We got the island, we got the subject, kind of looking Mr. Beast-esque now. And then because it's a Mr. Beast-esque video, I'm also going to drag in an airplane, like dropping off money on the island. So I'm going to scale that down as well. And then I'm going to cut out the airplane. Personally, I'm using the pen tool again, but you can use whatever method you would like. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out right now as well. And now that you have your plane cut out, I'm just going to rotate it to make it look like it's flying in the sky and not taking off. So something like that's gonna look good. And then I'm gonna put it in this left hand corner like it's already past the island and just scale it up a bit. And once I've scaled it and positioned it how I like, I want to make it look like our airplane is in motion. So I'm going to select on the layer and I'm going to come down to the filters over here. And I'm just going to add in a nice little motion blur to it. So click on motion blur, and then I'm just going to adjust the radius, bump it up quite a bit to make it look like it is moving pretty fast. And you don't have to do anything with the rotation because our plane is already perfectly horizontal. And then after I've added the motion blur to the plane, I'm going to bring in my cache PNG because it is a Mr. Beast video. It's a Mr. Beast video without some cache. And then I'm just going to go ahead and scale it down and adjust it to make it look like this cache is flying out of the airplane. The airplane dropped it off on the island for the winner. So I'm just going to go ahead and adjust it. Something like that's looking good. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to click on my cache, and then I'm going to go down to motion blur. And this time I'm going to set the rotation to 315 to make it look like it's flying out of the plane. And then I'm just going to bump up the radius a little bit on this to make it look like it is floating just a little bit. And then I think I need to adjust it a little bit more. So I'm going to move it up just a little bit. Something like that is looking good. And that should be all my pictures added in. If you have other pictures you'd like to add in on your personal thumbnail, feel free to do that as well. But now I'm going to go over how to color your subject to make them pop off the screen like a Mr. Beast thumbnail. So the first, you want to select your subject, and personally what I like to do is put them in a group. So I'm going to press Ctrl or Command G to put them in a group, and I'm just going to rename it as my subject. And then I'm going to drag it to the top of everything, and then we're going to add in some adjustments. And I like to have the group selected so the adjustments go inside the group and only affect whatever is in that group. So now with my group selected, I'm going to go over to my color grading studio. And once you're in the color grading studio, what I like to start off with are the quick adjustments. So just make sure your group is selected so your quick adjustments won't be grayed out. And I'm just gonna start off with bringing up the exposure, I think, a little bit. And then I'm gonna bring down the brightness a little bit to even his face out, bring up the contrast to add some contrast, bring down the shadows to add a little more contrast. And I'm going to bring the highlights all the way down to even out his face so the right side of his face isn't super bright and his face all looks even. And then I'm going to bring up some saturation a little bit. And then the white balance, I'm going to bring it down a little bit because his face is looking a little bit orange. That might be a little much because he's looking a little blue, so I'm going to adjust it just a little bit more down. But something like that is looking good. And then I'm going to bring that white balance tint down a little bit so he's not looking super blue. And then I am going to scroll down and add quite a bit of sharpness as well. And then I'm going to add quite a bit of clarity. And that is looking good already so far. So if I press Alt and drag out a duplicate, we can see the before and after of our subject. So there's the before and the after, and he's already looking so much better already. And so now what I'm gonna want to do is I'm gonna want to add adjustments. So I'm gonna go down to curves and I'm gonna use the preset S curve. This is what makes Affinity so good, is on every single adjustment layer they have presets that you can use to quickly color grade your photos, and is super nice. So this S curve I'm just gonna leave on top of everything because I think it makes our whole photo look better instead of dragging it into the group. So I'm just gonna leave it out, and you can see the before and after on how much that S curve makes our photo look way better. So that is looking good. And what I also want to add in, I want to add in a brightness and contrast. And for this one, I'm just gonna add in a default one, and then I'm going to drag it into our group to make sure it's only affected to our subject. And then I'm gonna bump up the brightness quite a bit, something like that is looking good. And then I'm gonna mess around with the contrast. I think I'm gonna bump down the contrast a little bit. And what I'm doing is trying to make the whites brighter so then I can brighten up his eyes and his teeth. So now that I have that, I'm going to go back to our pixel studio, and then I'm gonna add a layer mask onto it, and then I'm gonna press Ctrl or Command I to fill it in with black. And then with a nice white brush, I'm just going to paint in over the eyeballs and the teeth to make the whites brighter in our photo. Alright, and we're looking good. Here's a before and after, and you can see how much that has brightened up his eyes and his teeth, and I think that looks really good. So now what I want to do is I want to make his eyes a little bit brighter. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to go down and add a pixel layer, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over to my foreground color, and I'm going to want to make it the same color as his eyes. So I think his eyes are blue, so I'm going to add in like a nice blue color to fill in. And then on that pixel layer, I'm going to press Ctrl or Alt Backspace to fill in the canvas with blue. And then I'm just going to change the blend mode to something that looks nice to make his eyes really pop out. So I'm just going to go down, find something that looks nice. I think screen looks nice. And then after I make the blend mode, I'm going to add in a mask, and then I'm going to backfill that mask with blue. And then I'm going to press D on my keyboard to make the colors the default white and black. And then with a nice white brush, I'm just going to fill in the eyeballs with blue. Alright, and that's looking good, but I feel like the eyes are a little bright, so with the layer selected, I'm just gonna bring down the opacity a little bit to something that looks good, maybe around 40%. I think is looking good, and you can see the before and after here, how much the eyes are brightened up. It makes his eyes really pop. And last but not least, we're gonna add in some text because Mr. Beast typically adds in some text. So I'm gonna just press T to pull up my type tool. I'm just gonna drag out to the size I want. I'm just gonna type in day number 2 because typically Mr. Beast puts like a day and a number. And then I'm just gonna choose a nice font. For me personally, I like a human variable concept. And I'm just gonna choose medium for that. And then Mr. Beast likes to make his text white, so I'm gonna make a white text. I'm just gonna drag it down here for now, and then I'm gonna go to layer effects and add in a drop shadow, and I'm gonna mess around with the drop shadow to something that looks good. So I'm just gonna mess around with the radius and the offset to reveal this drop shadow. So I'm not seeing anything right now, so let me bump up the offset a little bit. We're gonna need to bump up the offset and make sure that our blend mode is normal for this. And then I'm gonna make the opacity 100% so we can start to see the drop shadow, the angle at 0 for now. And then we're gonna bump up this offset quite a bit so we can actually see our shadow. And then I'm gonna bump up the radius a little bit so that it kind of blurs the shadow. Something around right around here is looking good. And then we're gonna bump that opacity back down to like 50%. And then I'm gonna change the angle to like 315. That's looking good. And that should be it for the text. And we want that drop shadow just to make the text stand out a little bit. And I've noticed that Mr. Beast thumbnails, he likes to put the text like right above the subject. So I'm just gonna select both of our subjects and make sure both of them are selected. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and move them down a little bit to make some room for our text right above his head. So somewhere right there is looking good. And then I'm gonna move the text above his head and make it smaller, and something like that is looking good. And here is the before, and here is the after, so you can see how much we've made our thumbnail pop out. If this video helped you out, please consider giving it a like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And if there's anything else you'd like to learn in Affinity, give me a comment down below. I can definitely go over some of that stuff. Y'all have a good one. See you out. Peace, 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 peace.